Transferring controls to pilot.
Titanfall 2 boasts the best single-player first-person shooter campaign I've played in years. Genuinely. After so many years of campaigns from Battlefield, Call of Duty and countless others, you'd be forgiven for feeling a bit shooter fatigued, but Respawn Entertainment has managed to produce a campaign that's both interesting and fun to play. Okay, so it's still pretty macho and it's hard not to roll your eyes at some of the characters, especially the over-the-top villains, but the fact of the matter is, Titanfall 2's campaign is still really, really good. So, in celebration of a job well done, here are 7 things I learned playing Titanfall 2. Number 1. Shooters can be puzzlers too. Titanfall has always been about fluidity of movement and conservation of momentum, and Titanfall 2 is no exception. The campaign frequently opens out into big areas plastered with handy surfaces for you to wall run and slide across, as you might expect, but I did not imagine Titanfall 2 would actually stray so closely to being a puzzle platformer. There are so many sections of Titanfall 2 you need to read and negotiate with carefully timed double jumps and wall runs, in fact, that I'd say it's pretty much 50% shooter and 50% platformer. Okay, so maybe 60% shooter, but that 40% of platforming still counts for a lot. Some of the bits of the campaign in Titanfall 2 are genuinely tricky, requiring a solid plan, the ability to read your environment, and some fast reactions. One bit, without spoiling anything, will even have you playing around with an especially interesting mechanic that easily pushes Titanfall 2 into hard sci-fi. Fair warning though, you'll also spend quite a bit of time misjudging your jumps and falling to a swift and embarrassing death. Number 2, not moving is a very good way to get shot. Each one of Titanfall 2's mini arenas is basically a playground, giving you something to dash around as you mercilessly gun down everything that moves in order to proceed. Keep your momentum up in these areas and you'll be nigh on unstoppable, taking out your enemies in a series of stylish stunt murders. However, because these areas are quite big, they're also fairly well packed with bad guys, so the instant you stop moving, you're in trouble. If you stop charging around the place like a hyperactive gibbon for longer than a second, you can easily find yourself swamped and riddled with more holes than your average wheel of Swiss cheese. You can trust me on this one because I'm a bit rubbish at wall running, and so it happened to me a lot. Number 3, everything is easier when you have a shoulder-mounted auto-targeting rocket launcher. So yeah, Titanfall 2 can prove to be pretty deadly if you don't keep your wits about you, happy as it is to simply chuck a bunch of enemies your way. Those bad guys are considerably less scary, however, the instant you clamber into BT, your faithful Titan companion. BT has a bunch of different loadouts. Several of these include a rocket launcher that locks onto up to 10 different targets, or one target up to 10 times, allowing you to clear an entire battlefield just by letting go of a button. Not so clever now, are you? Room full of enemies? Didn't think so. Number 4, punching is more deadly than bullets. Okay, so the next item on our list of lessons may sound a bit unlikely, but it's absolutely true. Punching someone in Titanfall 2's campaign is a far more effective way of killing them than aiming your gun properly and filling them with bullets like a good soldier is supposed to do. 40%. And okay, yeah, one-hit melee kills are nothing new to first-person shooters, granted. But then we're kind of used to those melee attacks being a vicious knife slash or something, not caving someone's skull in with one deft punch. At the start of the campaign, the protagonist, Jack Cooper, is just a rifleman, not a pilot. So where exactly did he get this superhuman decking ability in the first place? He can even punch men to death while they're wearing helmets, managing to make high-powered rifles, well, seem a bit weedy. And while we're talking about surprising brutality, actually, number 5, BT is mostly cool, but also a little scary.
Congratulations on your promotion.
I like BT a lot. The Titan in Titanfall 2, I mean, not the phone service provider. BT is a surprisingly charismatic robot who acts as your guide and companion throughout Titanfall 2's campaign without getting irritating, which is honestly rather refreshing for a first-person shooter. There are moments, however, in which BT is less your friendly, capable robot companion and more the scariest thing I've ever seen. Here, watch. So yeah, that's BT. Generally a stand-up guy, also very comfortable with wrenching a pilot out of his or her Titan and popping them like a grape, as if it's the simplest thing in the world. BT's got quite a fixation with people getting smushed, actually, which leads neatly onto our next point. Number 6. When BT warns you about crushing hazards, please look out for crushing hazards. Without going into why, there's one bit in Titanfall 2's campaign in which you have to navigate a big factory with lots of moving platforms. Always looking out for your safety, BT warns you to do your best not to get crushed, which might sound a bit patronising, but oh boy, is he ever not kidding. I mean, you've probably gleaned from bits of this gameplay already that I'm not the most gifted of first-person shooter players, but let me tell you, in this bit of the campaign, it's really not hard to find yourself getting smashed like a bowl of eggs. BT may be a giant robot with a penchant for squeezing humans to death in his fist, but he does at least give good safety tips. And number 7, the exploding spider enemies can absolutely do one. There are some enemies in Titanfall 2 that are basically LED plastered footballs on little spindly legs, and they like nothing more than running up to you and exploding in your face. And I hate them. I hate them so much. They do loads of damage, they love coming at you in groups, and they're sneaky as hell. I haven't words for how much I despise these things, so if you're planning on picking up Titanfall 2, prepare to hate them too. And there you go, 7 things I learned from playing Titanfall 2's campaign. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please keep your eyes on Eurogamer for more Titanfall 2 videos. We've already got some going spare actually. If you're interested, they're floating handily on screen now. Click one if you want, but either way, thank you very much for watching.
Shutdown sequence at 50%.